By my video series 83, we learned computation of holding periods of raw material, semi-finished goods, finished goods. We also learned computation of the credit period extended on sales by the company. We have also understood the credit period available to the company while making purchase of raw materials. By doing this, we have understood how to compare the projected investment or the estimated investment in current assets to achieve a particular sales with that of the actuals of the past. Now, while this video series 84, let us understand one of the methods of assessing working capital finance, which is called maximum permissible bank finance method, also known as balance sheet method. As you are all aware, a manufacturing company necessarily has to make two types of investments. They are investment in fixed assets, and the second one is investment in current assets. The fixed assets investment includes purchasing a land, constructing a factory building, purchasing the required plant and machinery, purchasing the required equipment, other miscellaneous fixed assets like workshop machinery, etc., for which the company had to make investment first. Having created the investment in the fixed asset, the company needs investment in current assets. Now, the fixed assets investment, bank extends a credit facility called term loan, which is repayable in installment, and the repayment period normally exceeds 12 months. And the repayment source is the profit that is generated in future to meet the installment payable. Having invested in the current assets, the company had to necessarily seek a credit facility called working capital finance. The investment in current asset is called the gross working capital. That is the investment in the current asset. One of the sources to meet the investment in the current asset is the working capital finance provided by the bank. Is there any other sources? Let us understand that. The sources to meet the working capital, first one is the trade credits or the trade payables. That is the credit period the company enjoys while making purchase of raw materials. Second one is advances received from the buyers. The next one is margin brought in by the firm. Margin is nothing but the amount contributed by the company towards a credit facility. So naturally, for the working capital finance facility also, the company has to bring in margin, and the margin is calculated for working capital as long-term sources of fund minus long-term uses of fund. That is a term liability plus net worth minus the sum of fixed assets, non-current asset and intangible asset is called the net working capital or the margin for the working capital. The next one is the short-term finance provided by the bank. So these are the sources which funds the investment in the total current assets, or which is also called as gross working capital. Now, what is meant by working capital finance for a business, and what is meant by working capital finance for a bank? Let us understand the difference. For the business, it should have at any point of time adequate raw materials to ensure uninterrupted production. If it doesn't hold a particular quantity of raw materials, their production may get disrupted. Similarly, at any point of time, it should have sufficient finished goods to ensure uninterrupted production or uninterrupted supplies. I'm sorry. Because if the business doesn't keep adequate finished goods, it may lose the business to its competitors. And depending upon the market trend, naturally the company may have to give credit to its buyers. Now, hence the cash of the business is always tied up in the form of raw material, semi-finished goods, finished goods and trade debts. For the working capital financing bank, the requirements are the sales projected should be reasonable, acceptable and comparable with the past actual growth. That is a starting point for any bank to think about extending working capital finance. The second one is the holding periods, credit period extended and credit period available, which the company had projected should be comparable with the actual past, for which we have learned in our previous video how to compute them. The next one is, whenever any credit facility is extended, naturally the bank may require margin to be brought in by the company. So naturally, the bank is interested in knowing the actual source from where the enhanced margin, which is required for the enhanced working capital, come from. It should be known. If the company is setting up for the first time and is approaching a bank for working capital finance, naturally the bank will ask, what are the sources from where you are going to meet the margin? The bank has to be convinced. Then only they will process the credit proposal. Now, for the working capital finance, it can broadly be classified into two. One is called a pre-sale working capital finance and another one is a post-sale working capital finance. Let us see what are they. Pre-sale working capital finance means the finance extended against receiver inventory. Post-sale working capital finance means any finance that have been given against trade receivable or trade debt or bills receivable. That is after the execution of the order. The finished goods move away from the factory and it becomes a trade debt. So any finance that is extended against such receivables, it is called a post-sale. Any finance that have been extended against raw material, semi-finished goods and finished goods, it is known as pre-sale working capital finance. Now, what are the products that are generally given by the bank under pre-sale and post-sale? Let us understand that. In the pre-sale working capital finance products, if you look at it, one is a cash credit hypothecation of stocks, cash credit pledge of stocks, overdraft and packing credit. You are aware packing credit is nothing but a variant of cash credit hypothecation of stocks which are given exclusively for exporters of goods. Now let us understand what are all the post-sale working capital finance products. They are cash credit hypothecation of book debts. Book debt is nothing but trade debt, bill purchase, bills discount, bill negotiation. Now, why should bank assess the working capital finance? When a customer is coming to the bank and says that I need a working capital finance of say 2 crores, what makes the bank reassess the requirement given by the company? Why should we be satisfied that yes, the company needs the 2 crore working capital finance? There are two things: encourages over financing or under financing should not happen when the credit facility is extended to the company. The bank should provide only need-based working capital finance. If you are over financing a company, that is giving a finance more than what it deserves, it encourages the company to divert the funds for some unproductive activities or unrelated activities. Like a company is set up for the purpose of manufacturing a particular chemical, it is diverting the working capital for investment in shares or debentures of other company. It is not acceptable. Similarly, when we do an under financing, that is providing a credit facility or a credit limit less than what it deserves, then what happens is inability to utilize the full capacity. The company may not be able to increase the production capacity because of non-availability of the required raw material. Production falls, revenue falls, decline in profit, inability to service the debt, inability to supply the goods on time, market share declines, may not be able to source the raw materials on time. The firm may resort to outside borrowings at exorbitant rates. Market reputation suffers. The promoters spend more time in arranging finance than concentrating on the production activity. Ultimately, the underfinancing will lead to the account becoming a non-performing asset. That is the reason why the bank always assess the need-based finance to be extended to the company. There are three methods which are known for assessing the working capital finance. They are balance sheet method or MBBF method, sales turnover method, and cash budget method. Today, let us learn the maximum permissible bank finance method. So today what we are going to understand is the maximum permissible bank finance method, which is actually based on the recommendations of a committee headed by Mr. P.L. Tanton. And this MBBF method has come into being in 1974. Let us understand what are the basic recommendations of the Tanton Committee before understanding the method of assessment. We are discussing only those recommendations which are pertinent to this MBBF method of working capital assessment. The first recommendation given by the Tanton Committee is working capital finance extended by banks should be directly related to the level of operations and the activity of the borrowing enterprises. The gross working capital requirement of an industry is equal to the total current assets they need to carry at any point of time. That is based on the actual level of operations and the activity, only the bank should extend finance for working capital. Similarly, the basis for assessing the working capital finance requirement will be the gross working capital, which is nothing but the total investment in the current assets. The promoters must bring in a minimum amount of margin out of the total working capital requirement. Bank should finance only residual portion of the working capital requirement. The committee suggested that the minimum margin should be 25% of the gross working capital requirement, and the manufacturing firm should source the margin from its long-term sources of fund. The committee has recommended that the minimum margin that is required should be at least 25% of the gross working capital requirement. Subsequently, there were one more variant that have been included. There again, the margin requirement is 25%, but that 25% is not that of the gross working capital, that we will see separately later. And the third one is the manufacturing concern should source the balance of 75% from the short-term sources of funds. That means if my total investment in current assets is 100, 25 should come from the margin and balance 75 should be from short-term sources of fund. The short-term sources of fund include trade payables, other sundry creditors, then the short-term provisions, and then the working capital finance extended by banks also. Now let us move on to the next recommendation. The committee prescribed 3 methods for computation of maximum permissible bank finance to standardize the different methods practiced by banks. Out of the 3 methods, only 2 methods are being used presently in the banking system. They are known as MBBF method 1, MBBF method 2, and MBBF method 3. MBBF method 3 is not accepted and not implemented in the banking system. The committee also suggested standard holding norms for raw material, semi-finished goods and finished goods and receivables for different industries to ensure homogeneity in the assessment of working capital requirement of similar industries. And this 5th recommendation was not practically implementable and they are now scrapped. Every bank goes by its own experience, comparing the actual holdings of the past with that of the current year estimates and the next year projections. Suppose in case a company's net working capital is less than 25% of the total current asset, the shortage may be financed by working capital demand loan and can be recovered within a reasonable period. This in cases where the company is unable to bring in the minimum margin, then the shortfall can be given by way of working capital demand loan payable within a reasonable period, means within a period within which the company will be able to generate the required profit to repay the loan. Now let us understand the 2 variants of the MBBF method. One is called MBBF method 1, in which case the minimum margin to be brought in is 25% of the working capital gap. And in MBBF method 2, the minimum margin to be brought in is 25% of the total current assets. So the only difference between the method 1 and method 2 is in the minimum margin to be brought in. In method 1, it is 25% of the working capital gap, and in method 2, it is 25% of the total current assets. Now, with an example of a numerical, let us understand how the working capital finance is calculated under method 1 and method 2. There are on side by side, the 2 methods are given. Suppose the estimated total current asset is 100. We will deduct the other current liabilities. Other current liabilities means any current liabilities excluding bank borrowing. Bank borrowing under current liability includes 2 things. One is the working capital finance. That is what we are going to calculate. So that should not happen, include there. Second one is the current maturity of the term debt. Because the current maturity of the term debt is not a source for meeting the gross working capital. That is why from the total current assets, we will deduct other current liabilities Other current liabilities means any current liabilities excluding working capital finance and any current maturity of the term debt. Or in other words, I will say any current liability excluding bank borrowings have to be deducted from the total current assets. In this case, they are deducted. So the fundable amount is 80 in both the cases, and the company has to bring in a minimum margin. Now look at the method 1. The requirement is for the method 1, the minimum margin to be brought in is 25% of the working capital gap. The working capital gap is 80. So 25% of 80 works out to 20. So if the bank uses the NPBM method 1, the company is eligible for a limit of 60 lakhs. Now let us move on to the method 2. In method 2 also the total current is estimated at 100. OCL is estimated at 20, leaving a working capital gap of 80. And here the minimum margin is 25%, which is 25% of the total current assets. That is 100. The 25% of 100 becomes 25. So he is eligible only for 55 lakhs. Which means that the margin requirement is higher in method 2 compared to that of method 1. Now look at the case where the Canton Committee has stipulated a minimum margin which is 25% of the working capital gap in method 1 and 25% of the total current assets in method 2. There are some companies who would like to reduce their working capital finance borrowing from the banking system to reduce their cost of borrowing, thereby improving their profitability. So in such cases, though they have stipulated the minimum margin at 25% of the working capital gap or 25% of the total current assets, they are willing to bring in more than what is prescribed as minimum. In such cases, the actual margin proposed to be brought in should be reduced if it is greater than the minimum margin. Then the question is how to calculate the actual margin. When the company is giving a estimate of a balance sheet or a projection of balance sheet, we will find out the net working capital or the actual margin projected, which is equal to the long-term sources minus long-term uses. And the long-term sources is term liability plus net worth minus the sum of fixed assets plus non-current assets and intangible assets. If LTS minus LTU or the surplus of LTS over LTU is greater than the minimum margin that is to be brought in, which are 25% of the working capital gap in case of method 1 or 25% of the total current asset in method 2, then that amount has to be reduced to arrive at the eligible working capital finance. Let us understand with the help of this one a numerical like that. Now here we have given 3 tables. One is NPBM method 1, which is also called as PBF, that is permissible bank finance method. Then the second one is method 2. For the present, let us now go to the last column that we will discuss separately. Now you look here, the first one, the method 1, current asset is 200. The other current liability is 20 in both cases. In both cases, the working capital gap is 180. And in method 1, the minimum margin to be brought in is 25% of 180, which is 45. But the company is bringing a margin of 50. So 180 minus 45, that is 135, he is eligible for. But now that he proposes to bring in more margin than what it is, 180 minus 50 is 130. Now the lower of the two, 135 or 130, we will give him the working capital finance lower of the two, which is 130. Why it has become 130 is the company needs to bring in only 45. But the company says that I don't want to bring, take a higher working capital finance, so I am bringing more than the minimum required. So he brings in 50. As a result, his NPBA works out to 130. Now go to the method 2. Up to working capital gap, there is no change, but from the working capital gap, he has to bring 25% of the total current asset, that is 200. So the minimum margin to be brought in is 50, but he is prepared to bring in 60. So 180 minus 50, 130 he is eligible for. But he says I need only 120. So the lower of the two, 130 or 120, we will provide him a MBBF of 120. Now the last column, we are talking about a company which is engaged in domestic sale as well as export sales. So naturally it will have domestic receivables and export receivables pending as on the date of the balance sheet. In such cases, how do we calculate the MBBF? As per the Reserve Bank of India guideline, if a company is engaged in export of goods, for that portion of the export receivables outstanding, the company need not bring in any margin. This stipulation is made to incentivize the exporters to do more exports. When the companies do higher exports, the forex inflow increases, which enables the country to meet the import bill. So like interest subvention, etc., while calculating the working capital finance, the stipulation is that the company need not bring in any margin towards export receivables. So they have to bring in margin only for those receivables which are for the sales made in domestic sale, plus the raw materials, semi-finished goods and finished goods, they have to bring in the margin. The export receivables are excluded while calculating the minimum margin. Now look at a case where the total current asset is 200, the last column, and the company has got an export receivable of 60. Now the OCL, that is the current liabilities excluding bank borrowing, is 20. The working capital gap is 180. The normal course, the company has to bring in a margin of 50 because it is method 2, 25% of 200. But here it has got an export receivable of 60. So 200 minus 60, only for that residual portion of 140, the company need to bring in margin. So the margin works out to 35. And the company is willing to bring in more than that, it brings in 40. So it is eligible for 145 or 140, whichever is lower. So the company gets 140. Suppose the company says, I am not going to bring in any additional margin, I will bring in only the minimum margin, the company will get a working capital finance of 145. Now abstract of a balance sheet, total current liabilities, term liabilities, net worth, total liabilities, actual margin. We do calculate the MBBF using these data. Now please understand that while calculating the actual margin or the estimated margin or the projected margin, we said that we will calculate LTS minus LTU. When you calculate the LTS, please note that the current maturity of the term debt has to be added to the term liability, because the current maturity of the term debt is not a source to meet the gross working capital. So LTS will increase to the extent the current maturity of term debt is shown under current liability. Because for the purpose of calculation of the current ratio, which is current assets by current liabilities, we include the current maturity of the term debt as a current liability. But when it comes to calculation of the working capital finance, we don't take that under current liability. The current maturity of term loan will be added to the term liability. Please note this. Now here is a case where there is a working capital assessment which has been shown for the 2020-2021 to achieve a particular level of sales. The MBBF was 103.83. There is an excess borrowing in the year 2020 because the balance as visible in this case, when you look here, it is 103.94, but the eligibility is only 103.83. So there is around 11 lakhs excess borrowing. And the next year the production is 105.3, but actual balance, it tallies the actuals and minimum margin whenever you take, though the company is eligible for 111.56 crore, because the actual margin is 73.99 as against the minimum margin of 67.77, the lower amount, that is the eligible amount, comes out to 105.34. Now the company projects a 174.42 crores to achieve a particular level of sales, and you may observe that there again the minimum margin and the actual margin, there is not much of a variation. As a result, the 174.41 crore becomes an acceptable figure, and when you move on to the next year, the projected working capital is around 200.60 crores, and there again the minimum margin and the actual margin, that is the LTS minus LTU, are same. As a result, the company becomes eligible for working capital limit of 200.60 crore. So here the starting point is a total current asset less other current liabilities, then the working capital gap, then the minimum margin, followed by actual margin. Then we deduct the working capital gap minus minimum margin and the working capital gap minus the actual margin. Whichever is the lower, that is will be extended as working capital finance. Now, by this video series 84, we have learned assessment of working capital finance using maximum permissible bank finance method. Subscribe to this channel to receive intimation on my new videos. Please note that subscribing to this channel is free. Press the like button and share the information with your friends. In my next video series 85, I shall be discussing the fund flow statement. Thank you very much.